I was looking at my Spotify Wrapped the other day, which is always a humbling experience, by the way.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And it is, frankly, embarrassing how much time I spend curating playlists for these, like, very specific, very mundane moments.
Right.
I have playlists for coffee shop work mode. I have one for driving at night in the rain. I even have one called aggressive dishwashing.
Aggressive dishwashing. Okay, I feel like I need the track list for that immediately.
It's mostly 80s hair metal and a little bit of, early 2000s angst. It works. But the point is, we are obsessed with soundtracking our lives.
Completely. We treat our day-to-day existence like it's a movie that needs a score.
Exactly. A score to tell us how to feel. If I'm running, I need 180 beats per minute. If I'm studying, I need those lo-fi beats.
Mm-hmm.
But today, we are diving into a stack of research that points out this massive glaring blind spot in this habit.
Yeah.
We spend hours curating the vibe for a workout, but we spend almost zero time thinking about the soundtrack for the most significant event of our timeline.
The end of the timeline. The funeral.
Exactly. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling a really fascinating and I think a really necessary text titled Harmonizing Grief, the Art of Planning a Funeral Playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And before you tune out thinking, wow, this is going to be grim, stick with us.
Please do.
Because this isn't really about death. It's about storytelling. It's about neuroscience. And it's about how we process big, messy emotions.
That is the key right there. That's it. The source material makes such a compelling argument that music in this context, it isn't just background noise.
Right.
It isn't just, elevator music for the church or the funeral home while people find their seats.
No.
It is a tool. A highly sophisticated piece of psychological technology.
Psychological technology.
Yeah.
I love that phrasing.
Yeah.
Because usually when we think of funeral planning, we think of logistics.
Yeah, the checklist.
Caskets, flowers, potato salad for the reception. But the source material, it starts with this concept of emotional flood. And I think that is such a powerful image.
It is. And biologically, it is incredibly accurate.
So let's unpack that. When we say flood, what is actually happening to a person's brain when they walk into a funeral service?
Well, think about the last time you received just terrible news or even just had a massive shock.
Okay.
Your body triggers a fight or flight response. You are literally flooded with cortisol. Your system is spiking with adrenaline. But, and this is the important part, your prefrontal cortex.
That's the logic center.
The logic center, exactly. The part of your brain that handles logic, syntax, grammar, decision-making, it essentially goes offline.
It gets foggy.
It gets very foggy. It's impaired.
Which explains why at funerals, people say such awkward things.
Yeah.
You're standing in the receiving line and you forget how to speak English.
Exactly that. You can't find the words because the word part of your brain is underwater.
Wow.
It is physically impaired by the chemical flood of grief. And harmonizing grief sets this whole stage by explaining that grief often arrives without any structure. It is pure chaos. The mind and the heart are overwhelmed simultaneously. And in the middle of that internal storm, what are families asked to do?
Make a million decisions.
Make logistical decisions. They have to sign papers, pick caskets, choose flowers. They are scrambling for logic in a situation that feels completely, utterly illogical.
And that is where the music comes in.
That is where it comes in.
The source makes this really interesting distinction between, say, a eulogy and a song.
Yes. This is the why behind the music. This is the core of it. Think about a eulogy.
Okay.
A eulogy or a written tribute. Those engage the analytical brain. You are processing syntax, you're processing grammar, the meaning of the words. You have to follow the narrative structure.
He was born in 1950. He worked at the factory. He loved his kids.
Exactly. To process that, your brain has to do work. It's a high cognitive load.
And if your brain is already flooded with cortisol, that work is exhausting.
Precisely. You might tune out. I mean, you might completely miss the point of what's being said. But music.
Yes, it's different.
Music takes a backdoor. It bypasses that entire analytical system. It wires directly into the amygdala and the limbic system,
The emotional centers.
the emotional centers of the brain. It doesn't ask for permission, it just enters.
It's a shortcut.
It's a bridge. The source describes it as a bridge between memory and emotion that words simply cannot build.
That makes so much sense.
There is a reason you can forget the name of a person you met yesterday, but you can instantly recall the lyrics to a song you haven't heard since, what, 1998?
Oh, yeah. Every single word.
Music is encoded differently in our brains. It's stickier.
I loved that part of the reading. It's like you can hear a speaker talk about how much the deceased loved the summer, and you nod and you understand
Yeah.
intellectually.
Right. You get the concept.
But if you play the song that was playing on the radio during a family road trip to the beach 20 years ago, boom.
It's a completely different experience.
You aren't just hearing about the memory, you are transported back to it. You can almost smell the sunscreen.
And that transportive quality is what offers what the text calls permission to feel.
Let's drill into that. Permission to feel. Because I feel like society tells us we're supposed to feel sad at a funeral. Why do we need permission for that?
It's a great question. We need permission because we are social animals. And even at a funeral, perhaps especially at a funeral, we are performing.
Performing.
We're performing. We are worried about holding it together. We are worried about whether our tie is straight. We are worried about saying the right thing to the widow.
Right, right. The social pressure.
Or, on the other side of it, we feel a pressure to perform grief in a specific way. Am I crying enough? Are people judging me because I'm not crying?
You're holding your breath.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
You are holding your breath. But when the music plays, particularly if it's well chosen, it creates a container.
A container.
It creates a safe space where you don't have to articulate anything. You don't have to talk to the person next to you. You don't have to look at the casket. You can just be. The source notes that for some, the music brings tears. For others, it brings a smile as a memory surfaces. And for some, it just allows them to sit in silence and feel connected.
It takes the pressure off. It regulates the emotion in the room.
It regulates the emotion so that the mourners can actually experience the service rather than just enduring it. It literally regulates the nervous system of the entire room. It can even synchronize the heartbeats of the gathering.
That's incredible. So we've established that the music matters. Biologically and cytologically, it's not just decoration, it's infrastructure.
That's a great way to put it.
But then we get to the hard part, the actual planning. And I think for most people, this just feels like a chore, right? Another item on the death to-do list.
It certainly feels that way initially. It is so easy to view it as just another logistical hurdle.
Okay, we need 3 songs. Let's just pick 3 and move on. What's popular? What did he like? Okay, done.
The path of least resistance. But the source argues that we need to reframe that entirely.
So it's not a task.
No. Harmonizing grief suggests that the act of planning the playlist is therapeutic in itself. It is not just about the result, it is about the process.
This is where the family dynamic comes into play, and I thought this was such a beautiful observation in the text.
It really is.
I mean, imagine the scene. You have the family sitting around a table, maybe at the kitchen counter. There's old lasagna in the fridge. Everyone is exhausted. Eyes are red.
We're just trying to get through the day.
They are stressed about the budget, the obituary, the
Yeah.
relatives coming in from out of town, the business of it all. But then someone asks, what was Dad's favorite song?
And suddenly the conversation shifts. The energy changes.
Yeah.
You stop talking about the funeral logistics, the business of death, and you start talking about the life. Remember when he took us to that Rolling Stones concert?
Or remember how he used to hum that specific tune while he was gardening?
Exactly. It forces a connection. The source points out that this opens conversations that might otherwise be too painful to broach directly.
Right. If you just sat down and said, let's talk about how much we miss him, everyone might just clam up.
It's too direct. It hurts too much.
Yeah.
But if you say, did he like jazz or rock better? That is a safe entry point. It's a gentle way into the memories.
It acts as a buffer.
It does. It allows family members to reconnect with those memories and, crucially, with each other. It transforms the task from a logistical chore into a grieving journey.
You aren't just picking songs, you are curating a biography. You're telling a story.
You're co-authoring a story together.
But there's a trap here, isn't there? This source talks a lot about the default choices.
Ah, yes. The path of least resistance.
Right. Wind beneath my wings, my way, amazing grace. And look, the source is very careful to say there is nothing wrong with these songs.
Not at all. They are classics for a reason. They work, they resonate, but they do work. They are efficient. And sometimes that's needed. But efficiency isn't always the goal of a tribute.
Exactly. What happens when we rely only on those, when the entire playlist is just the top 10 funeral hits?
We miss the opportunity for a personal tribute. If you rely on the generic defaults because they are expected or just readily available, you risk having a service that feels, well, generic.
It feels beige.
Beige is the perfect word. The goal, according to the text, is that the playlist should be an extension of the deceased's identity. It should be woven into the very fabric of the service.
It's the difference between a funeral that could be for anyone and a funeral that could only be for that specific person.
Yes.
If I walk in and I hear a specific, obscure B-side track that I know for a fact the deceased loved, I immediately feel closer to them. The whole room does.
Exactly. It signals to the room, we knew him, we saw him, this was his song, and that is a powerful form of love.
But that advice, be personal, is hard advice when your brain is in that cortisol fog we talked about earlier.
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
Which is why the source suggests a strategy.
The chapters approach.
Yes. Viewing the playlist as chapters in a story. I love this structural approach because it gives you a roadmap when you're lost.
It's so helpful for organizing those chaotic thoughts. Instead of just picking songs they liked, you're actually looking for narrative arcs.
You're treating the life like a movie. What is the score for the opening scene? What's the score for the climax, for the final credits?
And the breakdown they suggest is fascinating. They suggest looking for specific categories or pillars. First, a song for personality. Then, a song for faith or spirituality. A song for family relationships. And finally, a song for the collective farewell.
It prevents that kind of random selection. It moves the process toward purposeful storytelling.
Right.
If you have a song for personality, you are asking a specific question. Who was this person at their core? If you have a song for family, you're asking, how did they love? It gives you focus.
Let's talk about that personality aspect for a minute. The source calls personality the compass for the playlist.
Which makes perfect sense. The music should sound like the person. It should feel like them. The text mentions a genre spectrum. If someone loved classical music, that sets a very, very different tone than if they were a die-hard country fan or a classic rocker.
Or a metalhead. I mean, seriously, if someone lived their life in a mosh pit, does it make sense to play a harp at their funeral?
Theoretically, no. And the source gives some really nuanced, helpful examples here. It talks about the upbeat individual.
I found that really reassuring because I think people are genuinely afraid to play happy music at a funeral.
So afraid.
It feels disrespectful to be sad. It feels polite.
It's a very common fear. We think dignity equals somberness. We equate respect with quiet sadness.
Yeah.
But the source argues that if the person spent their life enjoying upbeat music, if they were known for joy, for loud laughter, for resilience, then playing a somber dirge doesn't honor them.
It misrepresents them.
Completely. It creates this cognitive dissonance for the people who knew them best. They're sitting there thinking,
Who are we burying? This doesn't sound like Bob.
Exactly. So you can play the happy song. You can, and as the source suggests, perhaps you should. It honors that joy even amidst the sorrow.
It reminds people of what has been lost, yes, but also what was had.
Beautifully put. And on the flip side of that, the text mentions the quiet individual, someone who had a calm, gentle presence.
Okay.
For them, maybe loud, bombastic music wouldn't fit. For them, instrumental or acoustic pieces might be the best way to mirror who they were.
It's about matching the vibration of the person.
Precisely. But this is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
There is a tension here that we have to navigate.
Yeah.
It is the tension between what they loved and what fits a funeral. And this is where we absolutely have to talk about lyrics.
Oh, the lyric trap. This is a big one. I think we've all been there. You think of a song because it has a great melody or a catchy chorus, and you completely forget what the verses are actually saying.
It happens all the time. The classic example that's always used is Every Breath You Take by the Police.
Oh, yeah. People think it's a love song.
It sounds romantic, the melody is beautiful, but if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's about a stalker. It's incredibly creepy.
I'll be watching you. Yeah, not exactly the vibe you want when you're laying someone to rest.
Relax, exactly.
Yeah.
The source points out the danger of picking a song just for the beat. But it also reminds us, words set to music articulate feelings that mourners struggle to express.
So people are listening closely.
Very closely. Because they are looking for meaning. In that moment, they're hungry for meaning, for anything that will help them make sense of things.
So if you pick a song that the deceased loved, but it's a bitter breakup song, or it's about something totally inappropriate.
It creates dissonance. It pulls people out of the moment. Instead of remembering the deceased, they are sitting there thinking, wait, why are we listening to a song about cheating at a funeral? It breaks the spell.
So what should you look for?
The source suggests looking for specific themes that resonate in that environment. Love, legacy, faith, reunion, gratitude. These are the universal themes that speak to the moment.
And there's this concept of audience evaluation, which at first sounds a bit like market research, like we're doing a focus group for the funeral.
It does sound a little cold, but it's actually really empathetic.
How so?
It's about hospitality. It's about taking care of the people in the room. You have to consider who is there.
Mm-hmm.
A song that holds deep personal meaning for the spouse might be confusing or even jarring for the wider circle of attendees if the context isn't clear. You have to balance the personal taste of the deceased with the emotional needs of the group.
So let's go back to the metalhead example. If Uncle Bob loved heavy metal, that's his truth. We want to honor that.
Right.
But if you play Rain in Blood by Slayer at full volume in a church with his 90-year-old grandmother in the front row,
You are likely going to cause genuine distress. And the funeral is for the living, ultimately. It is to help the living process the loss. So if the music alienates the mourners, it fails its purpose.
so what's the middle ground?
The source suggests finding that middle ground. Maybe you find an acoustic cover of that metal song. There's some beautiful ones out there. Or you play an instrumental version. You nod to the identity without wrecking the atmosphere.
That's a great workaround. Speaking of atmosphere and emotional needs, let's talk about the art of balance. This was one of the biggest takeaways for me.
It's so important.
The source warns against emotional exhaustion.
This is critical. From a neurological standpoint, the nervous system can only take so much. The source calls it the overwhelm factor.
Right.
If you program an entire service with intensely sorrowful, tear-jerking music, back to back to back, what do you think happens?
You just wreck people. You wring them out like a sponge.
Yeah, you do. You deplete them. By the end, they're just numb. They physically cannot process any more emotion. They shut down.
So what's the solution? How do you balance it?
The solution is to think about it as an emotional curve. You need to create space for tears, absolutely. You need those heavy hitters that allow for that release.
But not only those.
But you also need space for reflection and moments of peace or reassurance. You have to let people come up for air.
So it's okay to have a song that feels a little lighter or more hopeful.
It is more than okay. It is necessary. The source suggests including at least one piece that offers a sense of peace or hope. It gives the mourners a chance to catch their breath.
Right.
It prevents that emotional fatigue and allows them to stay present for the whole service.
It's like pacing a movie. You can't have the climax for 90 minutes straight. You need the quiet scenes. You need the breath.
Exactly. And that brings us to the structure of the event itself, how the music fits into the actual flow of the day. The source uses this great phrase, music as active architecture.
I love that. Active architecture.
Mhm.
So it's not wallpaper. It's not just filling the silence.
No, it's building the room. It is shaping the atmosphere of specific moments. It's telling people where they are in the process emotionally.
Okay.
The source breaks this down into key phases. First, there is the arrival.
That transition moment, like
And-
an airlock.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy. Think about what is happening. People are coming from the chaotic outside world. They might have been stuck in traffic. They are checking their work emails on their phone. They are stressed. They are anxious about seeing family members they haven't seen in years.
And then they walk through the doors.
And the music is what transitions them into the shared space of remembrance. It signals, you are here now. It is time to slow down. The world outside has stopped for a little while.
Then you have the reflective moments during the service itself.
These are fascinating psychologically. The music allows for privacy in a public setting.
What do you mean by that?
When a piece of music plays in the middle of a service, everyone is seated together, but they are processing internally. They're in their own heads with their own memories. It allows you to be alone with your thoughts while still being surrounded and supported by community. It's a very unique and powerful psychological state.
And finally, there's the closing.
The send-off. The final note. The source talks about the lingering sense of connection. The last song is what people take with them out the door.
It sets the tone for the rest of their day.
For the rest of their day, and maybe for how they'll begin their grieving process. Do you want them leaving in despair? Or do you want them leaving with a sense of peace, or perhaps a sense of celebration for the life that was lived?
But, and here's where the rubber really meets the road, you can have the perfect architectural plan, the perfect emotional curve.
Mm-hmm.
But if the construction is bad, the building falls down. We have to talk about the practical realities, the unsexy but vital details.
The logistics, yes. The source is very, very clear on this. You cannot ignore timing and technology.
Timing seems obvious, but I bet it goes wrong all the time.
All the time. You have to ensure the songs fit the duration of the ritual. So imagine a moment where people are filing past the casket, paying their last respects.
Yeah.
It's a very heavy, very holy moment. And the song ends, But there are still 20 people in line.
And you just get silence, just the sound of shoes shuffling on the carpet.
Awkward, uncomfortable silence. It breaks the focus, makes everyone self-conscious. Or the opposite.
That's the opposite.
The eulogy is over, everyone is ready to move on to the next part of the service, but you're only halfway through Stairway to Heaven and you have to awkwardly fade it out right at the guitar solo.
Laughs. Nothing says rest in peace like a DJ fading out the climax of the song.
Exactly. Cutting a song off at its emotional peak is jarring. It feels incomplete and it breaks the mood you've worked so hard to build.
And then there's the tech.
Yeah.
The double-edged sword of the digital age.
Ugh. Yes. We have access to every song ever recorded. That is the incredible pro.
And the con.
Buffering.
Oh, the nightmare scenario, the spinning wheel of death.
The source explicitly mentions the emotional cost of a technical glitch. Imagine the moment of silence. Everyone is crying softly. It's a sacred space. And then suddenly, buffering silence.
Or worse.
Or worse, a YouTube ad starts playing. Want a break from the ads?
Oh my God. That would be absolutely devastating.
It shatters everything. It pulls everyone out of the zone. Suddenly, you aren't thinking about grandma. You're thinking about the Wi-Fi router. You're thinking about the absurdity of modern life.
It breaks the reverence completely.
So the advice is preparation, preparation, preparation. Test the equipment. Download the files. Do not rely on streaming. Have a backup on a different device.
Good advice for life, really. The source also touches on the debate between live versus recorded music.
This is a significant choice, and there are strong arguments for both.
Right.
Recorded music gives you the exact version everyone knows and loves. It triggers that specific shared memory we talked about earlier.
The one from the road trip.
Exactly. But live performance, it has a unique impact that a recording can't replicate.
The intimacy, right?
It is the presence. It's happening right there for you in that room, especially if the musician knew the deceased.
Oh, yeah.
The source notes that a live performance creates a shared vulnerability in the room. You are watching a human being create art in real time to honor another human being. It's visceral, but you have to vet the performer.
Right. Just because your cousin plays guitar doesn't mean they can handle the pressure of playing at a funeral.
Correct. They need to be comfortable with that heavy setting. They need to be able to perform through their own grief, potentially. And their selections, their style, need to align with the tone you've so carefully set.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit to how this fits into the bigger picture of culture and tradition. Because a playlist doesn't happen in a vacuum.
No, it doesn't.
Most of us are navigating some kind of religious or cultural framework.
And that's a huge factor. The source acknowledges that many faiths have very established musical practices, hymns, chants, specific liturgical music.
And those things have their own power.
They have immense power because of their repetition over centuries. They connect you not just to your loved one, but to generations of people who have gone through the same ritual.
So how do you balance that with the idea of a personal playlist?
Yeah.
If the church says hymns only, but Dad loved jazz, what do you do?
The source suggests what it calls a hybrid approach. You can honor the strict religious traditions, perhaps during the formal parts of the ceremony, like communion or a specific prayer, but you can blend in those personal elements at other times.
Like when?
Maybe the prelude, the music that plays for the 15 minutes before the service officially starts, or the postlude as people are leaving. That's where you can bring in the jazz or the folk music.
So you're honoring both the faith and the individual.
Exactly. You're finding the pockets of personalization within the existing structure of tradition. You don't have to throw out the rule book, but you can write in the margins.
And this leads us to a really practical resource mentioned in the text.
Huh.
We have to talk about the role of the printed program.
Mm-hmm.
The source explicitly references the funeral program site here. And I thought this was interesting because usually I just think of the program as the thing that tells me what time we're eating lunch or the order of speakers.
It's usually just an itinerary, a schedule. But the source argues that the program is actually a context key.
A context key. Tell me more about that.
Think about it. You play a song, let's say you play Moon River. To most of the audience, it's just a nice standard song. Maybe they think it's a bit cliche.
Sure.
But to the family, that was the song the deceased hummed to their kids every single night. That was the lullaby. If you don't tell the audience that, they miss the emotional depth. They just hear a nice song.
So you use the program to annotate the playlist.
Yeah.
To give the liner notes.
Yes, exactly. The source suggests using the funeral program to provide that crucial context. You can list the song titles, but also include brief explanations. Just a little line like, musical interlude, Moon River Mom's favorite lullaby for her children.
That is such a good idea. That changes everything. Suddenly the song isn't just a tune, it's a story.
Exactly. It invites the entire audience into the intimate memory. The insight here is that this helps integrate the music into the overall narrative. It makes the service feel cohesive rather than improvised.
It turns the audience from spectators into participants in the memory.
That's it. And resources from the funeral program site really highlight this holistic approach. The program, the photos, the music, they should all be working in harmony.
Creating a unified experience.
Because when the visual, what you're seeing in the program and the photos and the auditory, what you're hearing in the music, all align and tell the same story, the impact is so much stronger.
Yeah. If the music says sad, but the program says celebration, you have that dissonance again.
Alignment is key.
We're coming into the final stretch of the source material, and this part really touched me. It talks about inclusivity, specifically regarding children.
This is an often overlooked demographic at funerals, isn't it?
Totally. We tend to shuttle them off to the side, or we assume they don't understand.
And often they don't understand the words. Children find the words of a eulogy confusing. They don't understand metaphors about going to a better place or resting in peace. It can be scary for them.
But they understand music.
They do. Music is a primal language. It functions as a tool for them to process things they can't talk about yet. The source suggests selecting age-appropriate melodies to make them feel included in the remembrance process.
So something familiar to them.
It could be something familiar or just something with a simple, gentle melody. It gives them a way to participate that doesn't require adult-level verbal processing.
It's a language they speak. If they hear a song they know or a melody that feels safe, they feel part of the circle. They feel seen.
Precisely. It validates their presence and their grief in the room.
And finally, we have to talk about what happens when the service is over, the afterlife of the music. Because the playlist doesn't just evaporate when the guests leave.
No, not at all. The playlist lives on. The source introduces this lovely concept of the enduring playlist.
I love that idea that the music lives on. It becomes this digital artifact of the person.
And many families use these playlists for private listening later, on anniversaries, birthdays, or just on a random Tuesday when they're feeling sad.
You're driving to work, you miss your dad, you put on the playlist.
And you're with him for a few minutes.
But what about the pain? I mean, hearing those songs later, that can be a massive trigger. If I hear the song from the funeral, I might just break down in the middle of traffic.
And the source addresses this directly. It admits that, yes, hearing these songs will trigger emotion. It will be a trigger.
Right.
But it reframes that trigger. It suggests viewing it not as something to avoid, but as an opportunity for continued healing.
That is a powerful shift in perspective.
It is, because over time, the songs transform. They go from being symbols of loss, this is the song we played when we said goodbye, to reminders of love and connection.
This is the song that keeps us together.
Yes. The sharp pain of loss softens, but the connection remains. The music keeps it alive.
That's beautiful. So let's bring this all together. Let's summarize the mission here. What are we really doing when we plan this playlist? We aren't just DJs.
We are managing grief. But as the source concludes, managing grief through music isn't about eliminating pain. You can't DJ your way out of sadness.
Right. No song is going to fix the loss.
No. But you can create a structure to hold the pain. That is the core message. It's about intention.
Intention.
There is no right way to do this. There's no one perfect playlist. There is only the intentional way. If you choose the songs with purpose, with love, you create a container that can hold the weight of the grief for everyone in that room.
The source calls music a companion in grief. I think that's the perfect way to put it. It doesn't take the journey for you, but it walks with you.
It walks with you. It does. And if I can leave you with one final thought, something to really chew on from this.
Please.
We often think of a funeral as a singular event, a door closing. The end of a chapter, we say goodbye, we play the song, we go home. It's the end. But if you curate the music correctly, as this source so brilliantly suggests, you are actually building a bridge that allows the relationship to continue.
A bridge to the future.
Yes, because you will hear those songs again. You will. In the grocery store, in the car, in a movie. So the question isn't just, what songs did they like?
It's bigger than that.
The real question is, what soundtrack do you want to keep listening to as you remember them? You are designing the sound of your future memory, You are planting the seeds of how you will remember them 5, 10, 20 years from now.
Wow, that puts a whole new perspective on it. It's not just about honoring the past. It's about building a future connection.
Exactly.
Well, I know for a fact I'm going to be looking at my playlist a little differently today.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, starting a new note on my phone for the big one, just in case.
It is never too early to start thinking about the soundtrack of a life.
Thank you all for diving deep with us today. We hope this helps you find a little more harmony in the heavy moments.
Take care of yourselves.
See you next time.